evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to tonight's very, 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 very special episode of How to Build a Visible and Profitable Business on LinkedIn. Now, you have got me. You've got me, the one and only Mildred Talabi, as your host for tonight. And if you don't already know, in this month of June, I am having these awesome conversations and an awesome series on how you can build a visible and profitable business right here on LinkedIn. Now, June is also my birthday month, so it's a good time to give you this treat, right? Because I'm treating myself this month, right? So I thought I would give you this treat. Everything that you want to know about how you can get started on using LinkedIn as a platform to build your business, you're going to learn this month if you stay tuned to the series that we're doing. Now, we started this last week because it was the beginning of June, and the format is every Monday. I am in conversation with an amazing, fabulous, fantastic, inspirational woman, visible woman. I like to call my women visible woman. I am in conversation with a visible woman who's going to give us some insights into her own business and how she was able to build that on LinkedIn and beyond. So these amazing visible women, also I get the pleasure of calling clients as well because I work with some pretty incredible women. If you don't know them already, trust me, you're going to want to get to know them. So tonight is no exception. I have got another amazing guest for you who I will introduce in just a minute. So every Monday throughout June, you're going to have me and my special guest, and we're going to be talking about business in conversation, building a visible and profitable business on LinkedIn. Now, every Tuesday afternoon, you're going to have just me. Yay! You're going to have me during lunchtime. So you can have lunch with me at 1 o'clock BST, British Summer Time. I'm going to be here for about half an hour and I'm going to be sharing with you some strategies. Tuesdays are more the strategy sessions and kind of shifting mindset type of stuff. Whereas Mondays, we're having conversations, we're exploring, we're inspiring, we're educating. So join me for both of them if you can live. And if you happen to not be able to do it live, then you can watch the replay, which is available immediately as soon as we finish streaming right here on LinkedIn. So I am broadcasting live right now on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. So you can find me on any of those platforms. But you're going to want to find me. You're going to want to find us, right? Because it's going to be a great series that we're doing this month. Now, as always, if you are tuning in and this is not your first time, you already know what to do. I want you to say hello in the comments. I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do, but tell me where you're tuning in from. Where in the world are you? And again, if you're watching on replay, I want you to do the same. Say hello, let me know where in the world you're tuning in from because I really want this session to be interactive. Ask me questions, ask my guests questions, and we're going to get them answered for you because this is all about you. I want you to build your visible and profitable business on LinkedIn. Now, I am going to introduce my guest in just a minute. I want to keep you hanging for just a little bit longer, right? Because she is worth the wait. She is so worth the wait. Bola, it's so good to see you. Welcome, welcome, Bola. Where are you tuning in from, Bola? Let me know. Cleo is here. Hey, Cleo, money and mindset, wealth and money mindset coach. I love it. Najua is here from the UK. I love it. And we got Kathy May, who's down the road from me. Literally, Kathy, do you want to come over? So it is also keep happening where you're from in the comments, guys. So tonight, I am so pleased with my guest tonight. I'm gonna get straight into it because I want to give her maximum time to get into the subject that we are gonna cover today, and that topic is property. Property. Who wants properties? You do, right? I do. If you don't, you know. So my guest today is a Grace. Her name is Grace Ola. Now, Grace is a social worker turned multi-million pound property investor who is now passionate about coaching and training people to find financial freedom through property. Now, Grace has done a whole lot more than just social work and property. And we're going to talk about all the bits in between, in this conversation. So Grace and I worked together recently on one of my LinkedIn VIP day sessions By the way, if you want to know what that's about, how you can have your own VIP day with me to build your visible and profitable business, send me a DM at any point through this session or afterwards as well. So in this VIP day session, we got together face to face in person in London, and it was amazing to hear all about her business and the inspiring journey that she's been on. And you're gonna love her passion for what she does. So I was like, I have got to bring Grace to you because we need to hear from her, learn from her in this live session. So without further ado, please drum roll your fingers on your keyboard and help me to welcome to the virtual stage Grace Ola. Hello. Hey,
Hey, Mildred.
Hey, so
Hi,
good to have
everyone.
you. Hi. We got people. We got Jennifer in the house from Toronto, Canada. We got Lynn in Virginia, USA. We got Deidre, Cleo, Selena. Everybody's tuning in, and I can hear an echo. Can you hear an echo? Is the mic on my side? Is it right on your side? Thumbs up,
It's good.
Grace.
Yeah, good with me. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I think it's gone now. But listen, Grace. Before we get into the whole details of what it is, the very exciting catchphrase of social worker to a multi-million pound investor, right? We want to hear all about that. How do you describe what you do today? Tell us in your own words.
Okay. So this light is annoying me. It's bright, then it's dark. I feel like I need to clap like. But is the lighting all right? Sorry.
It is. I think it's one of those lights that dims when it feels like there's no movement. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Mildred. I lost track there.
Yes,
So
tell us in your own words. Yeah, what you do.
okie dokie. So I feel like I always have to start off with my family, because before you say that you are businesswoman, this blah blah, I always feel like I've got to give my family reference. So firstly, I'll start with I'm a wife. I've been married for going to 12 years in October. I have 2 children, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they are, if people have got toddlers, you know what I mean, but they're a blessing. But they definitely keep me on my toes. I am currently a full-time property investor and a property coach. And when I say property investor and property coach, basically what I do is I empower, I coach people to get onto the property ladder. I coach them to secure a property deal with almost little to no capital. And my emphasis in property is about mindset and networking, building crucial relationships in the property field. So that's just a little bit about me.
Wow, I love that. Just because that's the way you introduce yourself. You said the family is first. Why is that for you? Why is that like such a big thing in terms of in the business arena for you? How does that translate into your work?
Yeah, do you know what? They're my drive. And I was thinking the other day, I thought without them, would I be pushing as hard as I am now? I mean, I know there's so much inside of me to give towards other people. I know that there's an assignment upon my life, but I feel like it's when I had my children, my second one in particular, that I woke up. They give me the energy. I mean, even my husband as well, he's a support network. I've got there, he's with them now as I'm here in my office talking to you. So I just feel like they're my everything. Without them, I don't think I would have as much drive, as much passion. And without my supportive husband, I don't even think I could be doing all these sort of lives that I do. So yeah.
I love it. Free cheers for supportive husbands. I got one too. He's with the kids right now while I'm doing this.
He's in my good books at the moment. That's why I said all that.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, this show tonight is, and this whole series is all about building a visible and profitable business on LinkedIn. So we're gonna delve into your business some more. But I want to know, what is your definition of visibility, Grace? What does that word mean to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like that. I think for me, visibility is about showing up unapologetically. It means being yourself. It means being bold, even if you don't feel like being bold. It means being confident when you don't feel like being confident. It means just showing up when you don't feel like showing up. So for me, visibility is you are going to see me and I am going to give you my best, even though I internally may not be feeling my best.
Hmm. Oh, that internal battle, internal versus external. You already want me getting into the juicy stuff, Grace. So you're saying, if I'm rephrasing you correctly, that there's a certain element for you of kind of like a commitment that comes with visibility. So it's not
Mm.
about feelings, it's about I got to do this whether I like it or not. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's becoming robotic, and that's how I've had to be in order to be visible. I've had to program myself mentally so that I can be visible. Because if I listen to my feelings, if I listen to my emotions, I will be hiding. Nobody would see me. I wouldn't even be on this live. I would have made an excuse not to come. So
Mm. Okay, okay. So what then? Take us a little bit to your early days, Grace. What is your earliest relationship with this idea of visibility? I mean, were you a kid who was like a shy kid who wanted to be hidden away? Were you an extrovert on the stage? Like, how did you grow up, and how did that work out the rest of your life for you?
it's really interesting actually, because I think when I look back on growing up, my childhood, I was always one of those people that would spot those that were not visible. So you'd walk into a party and I would be drawn to those in the corner with the drink in their hands, to those that were sitting down, talking to nobody. Those were the people that I was attracted to. Those are the people that I always wanted to speak to, form a relationship with. So I think for me, I've always been, I mean, I was bullied, and I don't want to do all this sad story. Bullied. This light is really annoying me. Bullied, and all this stuff. But I was bullied as a child. So I think to a degree that affected my confidence. But I think, as you get older, you start to form your own identity. I had to sort of toughen up, really, because it became a big boys' world, a big ladies' world. That if you weren't tough, they would just basically stamp on you. So I had to fake confidence. But I realized that I did have a skill, or I had something in me that was always drawn to the quiet ones. So for me, I think I was visible in the sense of showing other people that they could be visible by just talking to them. And I used to see it on their face when I would come up to them, strike conversation, they would sometimes be quite shocked. So for me, I realized that I've always kind of been visible in my own way, but not in the front line as I think I am now, right? And I've never wanted this kind of, Grace, that I've hated. I was like, ew, cringe, right? But in my own special identity, by always talking to those that maybe didn't have people, I was visible in that sense. And then gradually, as time evolved, I just started to naturally fall into me. Well, let me not say that. Let me not make that stuff up. No, listen, you had to drag me to be a bit more visible, didn't you? So let me not say that it was a natural thing, but I think in me I always had it. But I just had to overcome the fear and people's opinions of me, and what would they say? Who does she think she is? Blah blah, all that kind of stuff that we tell ourselves, all those lies,
Do you think we all have it in us to be visible?
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. But you know what? I'm going to say something, and you're going to be like, Grace, why are you saying? But I still feel like the introvert and extrovert thing. So when you said about do we all have it in ourselves to be visible, I feel like we do, regardless of whether you're introvert or you're an extrovert. And I sometimes feel that introverts, when they put on a switch, they become more visible than those that are extroverts. So that shows to me that, you know what, we all have it in us to be visible. And one that says, oh, I'm intro, you know me already, Mildred, I don't buy into that stuff. Because I feel like, like you said, we all have it in us to be visible, intro, extrovert, in between, however you want to call yourselves, we all have it in us.
By the way, just out of interest, if you're watching and you identify being an introvert or extrovert or an ambivert, like drop it in the comments. I want to know who feels which way, who's listening to us live. And if you're watching the replay as well, feel free, So, because me and Grace have had this discussion offline previously, I'm very much an introvert, and there's stuff that people I misidentify in terms of what that means. And Grace, I think, is more on the extrovert spectrum, right? Is that correct? Would you say that you're more on the extrovert?
I was an extrovert before COVID. COVID has turned me into an introvert. No, I'm serious. I didn't know that was a thing, but I'm now an introvert. I think I identify myself more of an introvert, but I know what an extrovert feels like. So I've transitioned.
So interesting. That is a whole conversation for another time about whether you can transition during COVID, you know? But listen, okay, so going back to this time, so you were bullied at school, that as you said, and then it took you some time to get your confidence back up, you know. So what did you want to be when you were younger? Did you have these aspirations of greatness, or is that something that came later on to you in life?
Yeah, no, I was the least ambitious person you would meet. Even when I got married as well, my husband was like, "What do you want to do in life?" I was like, I didn't understand that question. What do you want to do? For me, my mindset before was always, as long as you've got roof over your head, you have a 9 to 5, what more do you want? Right. So I was always so that's why some people see me now and they think, oh my God, you're a complete different person, because I had no entrepreneurial anything. I didn't even know how to spell the word entrepreneur. I had none of that inside of me. Neither did I crave for that. I always used to support other people doing it. And I was like, you go, girl, you go, guy, do your thing. But for me, it was never inside of me. So I had no ambition. I failed school, GCSEs. I didn't get, everything was like FGs. I think my highest was probably a D or an E. And then in college, I didn't even have enough to go into college. And then when I did go to college, I failed college. I failed then university. Everything was just academically. So I just thought, you know what? I'm just here to basically make friends. I used to, because my skill was to talk to people that were always in the corner, or maybe people that would argue in school, they'll come to me to do mediation. So I just thought that was my calling, really, that maybe I'm just here to help other people have a better life in terms of friendship breakdowns or whatever. But never did I have any goals or aspirations for myself to achieve, or I didn't care about money. I said to my husband, I remember, and he reminds me, I said to my husband, listen, I don't want us to be rich. I never want us to be rich. I just want us to just be comfortable, because he's very ambitious. And I used to say, calm down. You don't need to I felt like he was too ambitious and I wanted to put that lid on. And he used to get very frustrated. But that's just to show you my mindset. That's just to show you how I was programmed. And I think that was because on reflection, perhaps very little exposure. I don't know. I don't know what that was about, but I had no aspirations, to be honest with you.
And so I do want to get into how you reprogrammed yourself, you know. So your lack of aspiration, in a sense, is that what led you into the career that we know you for now, which is social work? How did you end up doing that for your job?
Okay, because I was a people's person and it kind of just fitted. I remember talking to my dad, okay, I'm at this stage now where they say you apply to college, what shall I do? And I said, shall I do youth work? Shall I be a youth worker? And he said, oh, because he was a social worker. He said, Grace, I think social work is the route for you. And then it was a no-brainer. So that's how I got into social work, really, again, because I just identified that I used to like talking to people, making sure that they felt okay, making sure that they felt empowered. I mean, I made it my duty to compliment people on a daily basis. You look amazing, you look great. And I wasn't faking it. I genuinely meant it, but I just got joy from making other people smile. So that's how I knew that social work, because again, it's people, right? Helping identify problems, etc., etc. So I knew that it had to be along that line.
So you go into social work in your early 20s, maybe, I'm guessing, around about that kind of time.
I went in at the age of 23.
Okay. So and you stayed there
at 23 years old. But
23 years old. Okay. And you stayed there for 10 years. Was it 10 years you were a social worker?
10 years, yeah. 23 to, so yeah, well, that'll take me to 33, yeah.
Okay. So then...
something like that, probably a little bit younger then. Maybe let's say I started about 21, 22, something like that, yeah. But about 10 years I was in, yes.
Okay, so 10 years as a social worker. And then at some point in the process, you started to feel like this ain't it, you know? Talk to us about that. What happened? What made that, what brought that change about?
Do you know what, Mildred? What happened was I always felt that itch. I was never one. I went into social work and I thought, okay, my dad always warned me, Grace, don't be in social work for long. So I already had that in my mind. So, okay, I'll do this for a couple of years and off I go. But I always knew that I wasn't going to be there long term because it was too heavy. Right. And I think the breaking point, if I can use that terminology, was when I had my children. When I had my second child, I realized when I had my first child, I'll be waking up in the middle of the night, doing court reports, stressed out. I'll be blamed for things by managers. It was just because I was in child protection, you see. So it was a very intense, fast-paced role. And then when I got pregnant with my second child and had my second child, I made a promise to myself that, Grace, this is the last time you're going to do social work. So I remember just typing, just before I was winding down for maternity leave. And I thought, you're not coming back to this profession. This is it. You're done. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I weren't going back because, again, I felt like I needed to be more present for my children. I need to be present for my family. And I started to think as well, hold on, where is the stopping line? How far do I go in this profession? Is this really for me? Have I paid my dues? Have I done what I need to do already in this profession? So all of those things were discussions I was having with myself, which led to my decision to say that, thank you very much, social work. You've served me well, and I believe I've served the people well, but it was time for me to jump ship.
Mm-hmm. For someone who says that you had a lack of ambition, you sound pretty driven. I mean, because what stopped you from just coasting? Because unfortunately, so many people do this. They get into a job, they get into a career, they hate it, or they know it's not fulfilling them, but they just stay at it 10, 20, 30, 40 years, retire and die,
Yeah.
What got you motivated to the point of doing something about it?
Yeah. You see, the thing about me as well, and I don't know where it comes from, but when I want to do something, I do it. Although I had no ambition, no drive, when I'm strong about a decision, nothing and no one can stop me. So it's kind of like a 360. Yeah, I'm the complete person that you have to be like, come on, have some dreams, have some goals, be ambitious about what you want to do with your life. But when I make a decision that I don't want this, that's it. For me, I don't know what the word is, but I don't know how to be unhappy. If I'm unhappy, I do something straight away about it. I don't take on stress. It's not that I don't know how to take on stress, but I don't believe that I need to go through a process of being stressed. I believe there's always, firstly, ways of managing stress, but also I feel like, Grace, if you're not happy about something, do something. You've got the power. And then when I make that decision in my mind, that's it. I'm unstoppable. And I think this is what has actually helped me.
Okay, I love that. I don't know how to be unhappy. That is powerful, right? We should all adopt that.
I don't know how to be unhappy. Nothing can make me. I'm sorry, I just can't. I have to eliminate it. Anything that disturbs my peace or my happiness, it has to. No way, I can't.
Yeah. We have to kind of be disgusted with unhappiness to that level. If you got any questions for Grace, by the way, start typing it in the comments. I'm going to shift to asking about property shortly. If this is resonating also, please drop it in the comments. I want to hear what's landing with you as we have this conversation. So Grace, so I know, so then you finished this 10-year career in social work and you're like, I've got to do something else for the sake of my children and my sanity, right? So and I know you pivoted to be a business analyst before you then got into kind of the property. So give us a quick snapshot of the business analyst, how long you did that for, why, and then how did you eventually end up into that property business that you're in now?
Yeah. So I remember this day quite clearly. So by that time I said to my husband, listen, I've made and he knows me already. When I make a decision, he doesn't bother talking me out because it would end up being because he knows when I say something that I'm passionate about, I don't know how to be talked out of it. So I said, listen, I've made a decision. I'm not going back to social work. I mean, he tried, are you sure? I said, yeah. And he knew that, okay, she's serious. There's no point going down that route. And then that's after. And then a couple of weeks later, obviously, my son was born. It was probably like a week or two old or whatever. And my husband is also, I have to say, he was an oil and gas engineer, got made redundant, and then transitioned into data engineering, which is under the umbrella of sort of business analyst. So he understood the role of a business analyst, because I think there were people in his team that was doing that. And then he just said, oh, I think you'll be good at being a business analyst. I had no clue what that was. So what does that mean? And he knew he had to break things down, because I don't process information easily. So in a nutshell, he broke it down like ABC. I said, oh my God, that's good. And I said, how much do they pay? I know probably if my BA's colleagues watch that, I'm like, oh, so she came here for the money, did she? But listen, how much do they pay? And he was telling me sort of salary on a daily rate. I was like, oh, for just doing that? And I said, you know what? Where do I need to go? So he hooked me up and said, call this person, do this, you'll get, and the rest was history, really. Got a job, and then I did BA for about 2 years. And yeah, and then that's when I thought, even with BA, I knew I wasn't going to be in it for a long time. I don't know what that was. I don't know what that feeling was, but I was never someone that could stay in one place. And actually, my colleagues will testify, because even within the 2 years, I've been so many jobs. Because I get bored easily. I'm like, what next? I've met all the people. I get excited. Okay, what new experiences can I learn from, or what other exposure is there? So I always had an itch to move contracts quite frequently, more than other people. But yeah, and I did that for 2 years, and that's when I was like, you know what, Grace, it's time for the next hurdle.
Okay, I can relate to that itchy feet stuff. I used to call it itchy feet syndrome, right? I needed to move on from a job. I can't stay there. When I'm bored, it's time to go. It's time.
Exactly,
So
exactly that.
I love it. Remy, hi Remy. Remy says I'm enjoying your chat. Thank you, Remy. Thank you. Okay, so Grace, so you do BA, it's time to go. So how did we end up in property? And I know offline, because I know that for you the property thing was there from the time you were young, because your dad was a social worker, but he also was into property from early on. So you had early exposure to property. So tell us about that, and tell us how you then came home essentially to property after all these years.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, rightfully said, my dad was however you want to say it, a property investor. So I am one of 3 siblings, and of 4 siblings, sorry, and I've got 3 brothers, and I have no sisters. So automatically, my dad used to assume that it would be my brothers that would take after him and probably do all this stuff. So because I was the only girl, I remember my dad used to actually bring me on to his properties to clean. So I was seen as like the cleaner, really, no disrespect to anybody else, but, woman, come and help clean the house, sort of thing. So I used to clean after every tenant. So when a tenant moved out, I would help my dad in the properties and clean. That's when I was first exposed to property. I thought, wow. And I remember asking my dad questions about property and what does this mean? A tenant's coming in, but he wasn't very open. I think he thought, you've got no business in knowing about this. I don't know what his thinking was, but I didn't feel like I got the information that I needed. It was kind of dust under the carpet, my questions, and it was like, just get on with the cleaning, will you? So that's what I did. And then it was my husband that was at work one time, and he was with someone, and that person said that they had 10 properties. And we thought, hold on a minute, who has 10 properties? And you're actually, it was something that we've not actually heard, was exposed to. So they were like, yeah, we've got 10 properties. This is what we do, blah, blah. So my husband, he came home that day, fired up that, listen, somebody said this and this. I think we need to start investing in property. So through networking and all of that stuff, we started growing our property portfolio. Also as well, I have to say that we realized that, okay, our jobs at the time was sort of average salary-ish. And we realized that, hold on, we need to multiply our income here, because if we want to build, we need to be smart about how we're going to make the money. So my husband and I, we started getting quite aggressive with our approach. And some of the things that we did is that we had different jobs. I say that quietly because
but in case your former employers listening.
I'm telling you, because they'll be like, "Is this what she did?" But I don't know. But we basically we did what we had to do, and we started. And I'm quite open to an extent. I hope no one's offended when I start giving financial figures, but between the two of us, let's say we went from earning 4K a month as a household to about 30, 40K a month.
And this is working 2 jobs each.
Well, I won't say 2, could be more.
Okay, tell us. No, I love this, and I love it. Please,
you could be working much more.
Yeah, don't be shy about facts and figures, because this is one of the problems. Like, there's so much cloak and dagger around finances and all of that, so people never know how to measure where they should be or how they, So please be open. So you two you went from like 4K a month to about 30K a month. How many jobs exactly were you two working between the two of
you? Let's say in between us as a couple, we probably had about 7.
Okay, so wow. And is this with 2 kids?
Yeah, with 2 kids, absolutely.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah. So, you see, when people say they want something, but they look at the situation, and this is where hopefully people understand my passion for basically not taking people's excuses, because I'm not that sympathetic when people are like, "Oh, I've got," because I believe when you really want to do something, you'll do whatever it takes to get there. And that's still the same. I look back now and I think actually we could have even done more if we really wanted to. We could have, adopted more strategies to help us get to our goals. But I really do believe that when you channel the internal energy power inside of you, you are able to execute whatever it is that is required of you to get to where you need to get to. And I think it's mentally our mind that stops us. We tell ourselves we can't do this because of this or that, or that's why I said, for me, when I want to do something, I'm unstoppable. I will do what it takes to get there.
I love this so much. I want to ask about that, right? Because you don't have to go into detail about all the types of jobs you work. But some people might be thinking, how are you managing 7 jobs? I mean, what kind of jobs are you doing? Was it Uber driving? Was it like office jobs? Like what was that? What did that look like? The mix?
Yeah. So it was. This is LinkedIn, Mildred.
No, it's just me and you talking. Nobody else is listening.
Listen, we keep this video on your page, yeah. It's not going on mine. But yeah, it was mostly remote jobs. It was mostly remote, and that's when we started. And yeah, so a lot of it was mostly remote. And yes, with the kids, it was sort of husband and I tag team. We had to be strategic how we managed it. But we made it work, and we understood the goal. And when we thought about the goal and what we were achieving and what we planned to achieve, we just thought it's just a season, right? It's a season that you have to go through, because there was no other way. And let me not say there was no other way. I'm always about there are other ways. But I think at the time for us, it was the best way for us to be able to increase our finances in that household. So we just had to say, you know what? We're going to do what we're going to do to get to where we need to get to. And I feel like you have to make the most of opportunities, whatever that means to you. As long as you're not doing anything wrong or whatever, I believe you have to do what you have to do. And I keep saying that, but I really strongly believe that to get there. So it would mean that, okay, I'm in a meeting. Could you pick up the kids? Or I've got, I'm balancing about 3-4 laptops here. Can you get dinner ready? Or should we order takeout? It's just things like that. But again, we focused on the goal, so it made it easier. I look back now and I think, well, actually, it wasn't as stressful. It really wasn't. And I can definitely do it again. But I think my mind was,
focused.
It was focused. It had to be.
Yeah.
It had to be. And I don't think the kids were too impacted either. I don't think it was like, I actually feel like we managed it quite well. And I would finish at 5, the way I was supposed to finish at 5. And, maybe only 20% or 30% of the time I would log on in between in the evenings to do whatever. But it was actually managed quite well. And I believe that's because I told myself beforehand, Grace, you've got this. This is going to be easy for you. Outwardly, it looks like this is impossible. But because your name is Grace, favor is on your side, you are going to execute execute this. This is going to be a piece of cake for you, and you are going to slide. And literally, that's what happened. So I can't even pretend it was, oh my God, because it wasn't. And that's why I said it was actually okay, because I put my mind to it. I told myself it's going to be easy, and it was easy.
Wow. Your mindset is powerful, So how long did you guys sustain that for? And then how soon after that did you get your first property? And just to clarify, the house you were living in at the time, did you own it? Or was that, or were you renting?
Yes, the house we live in, we owned it. So this was, at the time we did this, we had only had probably a few, four properties at the time. But we realized that, and this is what enabled me to quit my job full time. But we realized that, hold on, how long do we want to be in a 9 to 5? Are we really going to be listening to what society says that at the age of 65 you retire? And I remember saying to my husband a year and a half in, or even a year into BA, that I'm tired. I don't want to do this no more. He said, babes, you got to keep going. This is not with the jobs and all that, but this was just even having one. He said, you've got to keep going because we've not reached our goal of financial freedom. I cannot afford you to stop working because we're nowhere near that. So in my head, in my head and outwardly, I said to him, so what do I need to do to get there? He says, well, we need X amount of money. When we have X amount of money, we'll be able to, you can do what you want, you can relax. And I thought, okay, is that what it takes then? I just need to bring my side X amount of money towards us being financially free. I said, yeah. That's when I went aggressive. And he was always quite, whatever himself, doing his own thing. But I said to myself, Grace, I don't want to be doing this for longer than about 6 months, 9 months, max a year. And that's when I said, you're going to do some crazy things right now to get you to your goals, but it's going to be worth it. And that's when I had my, right, let's go, I'm going to do this. And that's how we were able to bring in the finances that we were. And through that, we were able to at least buy another 5-6 properties or so. We were just able to
Whoa. Okay. Well, 5-6 properties. We ain't even talked about the first one, right? And Sharon, I got your question. I'm coming for you on that question, right? Just hold on a second. So at this time of hustling, you already had 3-4 properties, you said, right? So take me back to the first property that you guys had outside of your own home. How did you get started in that process? Because there's people listening right now who are like, okay, how do I get my first investment property? What was that process like for you guys?
The first property we did the old school way, and it was he had 2,000 a month, I had about 2K, let's say maximum 5K between us every single month. And it was more or less, your salary is to save, my salary is to live on. So that's going to pay, the bills, it's going to pay the food, it's going to pay petrol, it's going to pay, the mortgage, because we had already bought our residential at the time. So it was literally saving, let's say 2.5 every single month from our salary until we had enough to buy a residential, and our first until we had enough to buy investment property. And our first investment property was bought in Leeds, and I think we bought it for about £105,000, 3-bed semi-detached. I believe now that was probably about 6 years ago. I think now it's probably in the 200,000, 300, whatever. It's definitely gone up significantly. But it was really the old school, live on one salary, save on the other. And that's how we did it, really, until we had enough to buy our first investment property. And then when we bought our first investment property, when that went up in value, equity, we took money out of that and then we bought another one. But when we realized we wanted to speed up, we thought, okay, we can't just be waiting for this one to go, and then we want to buy more quickly. So that's when we went a bit, we did what we needed to do, right, to be able to build our portfolio.
Okay, so today you guys have, is it 13 properties altogether?
13. Yeah,
about 13 properties. So you beat that guy with 10 properties. So and they're worth, like I think you said, about multiple millions combined, right? Your property portfolio.
Yeah. It's about 300. Is it? Yeah, 300 million. Yeah, one day 3 million.
About 3 million. Okay. And what's the mix? What do you have? I know you have some flats, some HMOs. Like, what's the overall mix?
So we have HMO. We've got a lot of.
By the way, HMOs, in case for American friends, You know.
Yes, it's
in
house
terms
in
of-
multiple occupation. Yeah, so
Okay.
basically it's like a house where professionals come and live together, but they rent out each room and then they pay you as the landlord the rent. But they will
Mhm,
share the kitchen, and if there's a living room, they'll probably share the living room as well. But it's basically at least having 4 to 5 people, usually standard in one house, renting a room, and they'll probably have their own shower and all of that stuff.
mhm. Okay.
And we've got um, multi-unit blocks, so basically blocks of apartments as
Mhm,
well. And we a lot of ours, the majority of our portfolio is buy to let because that's what we
mhm,
started off with. But now we're very open to all sorts of strategies. But
mhm,
yeah, so we do whatever we need to do, as long as the money, as long as the sums, the numbers make sense, we will
mhm,
do it. So yeah, we
mhm.
don't say no to any strategy anymore, unlike before. But
Okay.
yeah, it's
Okay.
a mixed bag.
So all your properties, are they all owned by you or have you invested with other people?
Owned by us.
Okay. So Sharon's question, so Sharon is asking, how do I get other people to invest with me or instead of me if I have found a property for sale?
Okay, so how do I get other people to invest with me or instead of me if I have found, when you say instead or instead of me? So I think I get your question. How do I get people to invest with me? So I think what you're saying is maybe raising finance. So being able to pull money together and saying, let's buy a property, or you could be saying, let me take your money and use your money to invest in a property which you will own, Sharon, and then you give them a return. Either way, the key thing is, it's going to sound cliche, but it's visibility, it's building a brand, it's networking, it's basically being very trustworthy. I mean, Mildred, you say this to me all the time, right? I got this from you, that people have to know you, like you, trust you. So if they feel like they know you, they feel like they like you, they feel like they trust you, it makes it more easier for people to want to buy into your proposal in terms of investing. You also have to show up. So when I say visible, you have to show your love and passion for property, whatever that means to you. Show people when you're doing a viewing, even if you're not doing a viewing, go out and pretend to do a viewing. If you're just walking across the street, take a video of the houses, letting people know, oh, look at these lovely terrace houses. It seems like these are Edwina houses. Anything. People are just interested in the fact that you are passionate about property. And things like going function, family gatherings, letting people know that you're in property, this is what you want to do. But I think before anybody can actually part ways with their money, there has to be a level of trust. And they need to know that you are genuinely someone that is passionate about property. And it's not just something that is, you've woken up today and then that's it. Because people hold on money. You see, the issue that I have, and I don't say it arrogantly or anything like that, but the issue I have now is that I have many people telling me, take my money and invest. Before you'd be like,
Mhm,
God, why doesn't nobody want to? But when I got over the fact that no one wants to invest with me or do business or whatever, I realized that, okay, you know what? I started just channeling my energy with my love for property. And when people started to see that, they naturally started to come to me. Okay, Grace, I've got 10K, I've got 20K, 30K, 5K, whatever it is. Can you do something with this? And then give me a return. So if I've got your question right, I think for me, it's just about, don't focus on people investing in you the money. That time will come, but you need to focus on yourself, because if people don't believe in what you're doing, they're not going to do business with you. So
mm.
build that trust, and then eventually you'll get the right people wanting to do business with you.
Okay, brilliant. Sharon, I hope that answered your question. If you got follow-up questions from that, feel free to drop it in the chat. And anybody else who's got questions that you want to ask Grace about property, her own journey, or how you can get started or get to that next step on the property ladder for yourself, drop it in the comments in the next few minutes or so before we start to wrap up. So Remy is saying, Grace, how have you managed risk across your property?
Mm. I'm not the best person to ask that, because we are, our risk appetite is high. My husband and I have high risk appetite, so we just go for it. Oh, it could be risky. We could lose. We could. we're like, let's go, right? So we're not really ones to, I believe that the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. I don't dwell on losses. I'm not one to be like, oh my God, I've lost, because the same money I've lost, even if I've lost, I say to people, even if I have the penny to my name, I've built this so much that this is what's going to make me money. I've built myself, and I continue to build myself as a person that I know myself will help generate money. So when I lose money on assets or something's gone, it doesn't bother me, because I will make that back. We will make more money to buy more assets. Or so I don't really encourage people to get bogged down about the risk, because I think when we start looking at that, don't get me wrong, understand the risk the way they tell you to in the textbook. But us personally, we're risk takers. I mean, we literally, we see, we like, we buy, right? And then whatever. So, but I think when you do build that muscle of actually just having a high risk appetite, I think you know, it's just money. Do you understand me? And I think it really is just money. I know it sounds cliche, but it really is just money. And I think we get too attached. It's based on your relationship as well with money and fear. I think we can really go deep into risk and risk appetite, but I think there's so much into it. But I think on the surface, I feel like it's fine. It's okay. Don't let risk paralyze you from investing in property. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah, you lose money. You make money again. But that's if you build on yourself. But the funny thing is, right, I say you lose money. That's the worst. You can't. Property is actually one of the safest assets to invest in. So you're not really losing money. I mean, the issues when we say risk is that, okay, maybe tenants don't pay, or your house doesn't go up in value as much. But the good thing about UK, because I'm talking particularly about the UK market, is that you will always have properties. There will always be people looking to rent, right? So there's always a market. So the risk is, you know, I get estate agents. I think in America you call them real estate agents. They call me all the time, every day. Grace, have you got properties? We've got a queue of people wanting to rent your property. Imagine if I was doing analysis paralysis a couple of years ago. So every season is different. And you have to be, I saw something today, you have to be in property investing for the long term. It's not about the short term. So I'm saying, don't get bogged down the risk, not because, listen, life is a risk. Life is a risk. Do you understand? Talking of property, what property? That's nothing.
Yeah, that is such a healthy attitude. And as Remy said, she says, thanks, Grace, I love your unstoppable belief. I love that too, Grace, because it's such a healthy attitude. And even for business, you know, so many people don't go for things in business and don't grow to their business to the point of success, or even how they show up on LinkedIn, because of this whole fear of risk or failure. Fear of failure really is essentially what it is when we overanalyze risk. Is I don't want to fail, so I'm just gonna procrastinate and put it off for as long as possible. You know, so I love how healthy your attitude towards this is, and it's quite really inspirational to hear you describe it like that. You know, so I in terms of the properties, there's so much I'd love to know about how you got to this mindset, but I'm just looking at the time kind of thing. But if you can just touch on what got you to this place of thinking like this. I mean, how did you? And so that's one. How did you get to this place where your mindset is as it is? What kind of work did you do on yourself? Is this personal development? Is it like all of that kind of stuff? And then we're going to shift slightly to visibility and how that relates to your business in the last few moments that we've got left.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Do you know, I've never really thought about, if I'm honest with you, the mindset where that's come in. I feel like, I mean, being a social worker, you have so many like negative stories, and you know, I have generally always been quite optimistic and positive, generally speaking. So I just feel like I'm in control of my life, and I don't like negative energy around me, because I feel that impacts me. So if you're like, oh, and I get that people have problems, and don't get me wrong, I'm very, you know, sympathetic, empathetic, and all of that, and I'll be there for you and all of that. But you know, there's some things where you're just like, this is now too much negativity, too much. your problem's a bit too much. It's now taking over how I'm feeling heavy emotionally. And I'm like, you know what, Grace, this life, you've got one life. Okay. Yes, people have their things. Sometimes what you need to do is just pray for people, because I now cannot be taking somebody else's heaviness and put it on myself, because then that affects me as a wife, that affects me as a mum. And I think, why should I do that? So I've become very aggressive with protecting my space, my energy. I don't let anybody into my circle. I don't even know if I have a circle, if I'm honest with you, because I'm very, and I think those that get it, you either come on board to receive that energy, or if you're coming with the opposite, you flee, because you yourself would know that I don't entertain that. And I'm not rude or anything about it, but it just does. We're like magnets. The magnet is just not going. You're going to try and bring that negative, and I'm just not able to respond to that, because I built myself so much that I don't know how to. I can respond from a distance, and I'm really sorry to hear, but in terms of you letting in where it's taking over me emotionally and this heaviness, and all of a sudden you're feeling angry, annoyed, you don't even know why you're feeling like that, not knowing that person spoke to you 2 days ago and they just dumped all their problems and negativity and woe is the world and everything. I have too much to do on this earth, too much to do to allow that to impact my journey and where I'm going. I haven't got the time. You guys haven't got the time. I do not have that time. And that's where social work as well, that I realized that, you know what, Grace, I've done my best in 10 years, but I cannot carry this anymore. There is more inside of me that needs to be executed in a different way. I didn't know what was inside of me at the time. So for me, I'm just very like I said, I want to be happy. If I don't want to do something, it's just the same. If I want to do something, I do it wholeheartedly. If I don't want to be infected by all this negativity and worries me and all the media negativity, I'm not going to be. I'm just strong like that, because I need to be happy for my kids. I need to be happy for my husband. I'm building a happy marriage. I just can't. I just can't.
I feel your passion for how much you hate it all. I feel it. We feel you, Grace. We feel you. We feel you.
Can't. I don't have that kind of muscle to entertain that.
Yes, we only get one life for sure. So every single one of us choose how we live that life. So yeah, you've got to be intentional about protecting your space, your mental space, energy, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so Grace, like, this is called How to Build a Visible and Profitable Business on LinkedIn, but I want to know about how visibility has helped you in your property business. And this isn't just necessarily restricted to LinkedIn, because I know with the LinkedIn stuff, that's the last few months we've been working on that. I know that your strategy for property is being visible in terms of going out to places, being seen, being heard, networking. Tell us a little bit more about that strategy.
Yeah, so I mean, through doing that, like I said, networking, going out, even just showing up on social media, doing lives, and I say producing. I'm not no content guru, if I'm honest, but at least just posting content. I've actually it's helped me to, people have invited me for what I now know is called speaking engagements. I didn't even know there was a terminology for that. I just, you want me to come? All right, but, speaking engagements, and people have wanted to collaborate with me. People have trusted me, like I said earlier, to give me their money to invest in as well. And all of these things, I would have never imagined that would be the kind of doors and opportunities that open. I mean, even just being visible, people have said that, oh, Grace, you're inspiring. And I thought, how am I inspired? To this day, I don't really understand. I've got a friend that always tries to explain to me, the reason why people say you're inspired is because they see that, because like I said, when I'm like this, I'm like that. I just feel like everybody else is. So I struggle when people say you're inspiring. I don't understand what is inspiring. And I'm not saying that, but I've realized that, okay, me being me and visible, people are somehow taking something from that and maybe able to feel like there's hope for themselves, or maybe, in terms of mindset shift, or actually I can acquire properties as well, or actually take the leap of faith to, do that. And I say all this because, coming from a community, and I say community, let me break that down a little bit, from a Nigerian community where you're told, really, or I've grown up feeling like when you do things, keep quiet. So when you own properties, you don't need to tell people, because it's sort of like work hard in silence, let your success do the noise. But your success doing the noise is actually pride, it's actually arrogant, it's, yeah, look at me. And I thought, I never understood that. I thought, but I am not showing myself about property because I want people to be like, oh, look at her, she's got all these assets. No, I'm just doing that because I feel like I want people to know that you can get up the property ladder. This is how we did it. And I have a burden inside of me to break people from financial bondage. I've put a post out sometime and I said, it despises me, Mildred. I feel like crying out because I hate seeing people suffer financially. I'm like, God, take every penny from my account and give this to this one so they can. I don't understand why. And I know there's another argument. People will be like, but I don't understand, especially if you're believing Christ, why we're suffering financially. I don't understand. I know there'll be seasons. I know we can struggle, but I feel like as Christ lovers, we should be the people that have an abundance of wealth, and we are using that wealth to give to others. So it used to hurt me, especially with people with kids, and you're telling me you can't do this, you can't. Oh God. If you want to make me upset, give me that story about you cannot do this financially. And first it will actually bring out anger because I've now channeled my sadness to anger and frustration. So my approach is different. Before I'll be like, oh my God. Now I'm like, why? Maybe it's a bit too strong and aggressive, but it's that anger inside of me that you should not be in this situation. There is hope for you. So I don't even know how I got here really, but
listen, I get how you got there. It's funny because earlier this year, actually literally about 3-4 months ago, I experienced like a similar thing where just this anger of like it is so wrong that especially if you have a business that you don't make money from it, that it's not that you're suffering financially. Financial poverty is actually a bad thing.
yes.
It's not meant to be. So I totally feel you on that. And you're using property as a way to help people know that there is another way. There is another way to create additional income. And I wish we had so much more time because there's just so much more that we can talk about so we're probably gonna go over like just a few minutes, guys. Just stay with
Yeah,
me a
yeah,
few minutes,
that's fine with me. Yeah.
So yeah, there's just so much more we can talk about that. That's probably like for another show. But so on that visibility bit, because it's important, I want people to understand like how has you been using LinkedIn as a platform? Because I know before then you were on Instagram, you're still on Instagram, and I think on Facebook as well. But now you kind of shifted to LinkedIn also, and you're building your visibility here. Why is it important to you to be here on this platform to be being more visible?
Because I know that I need to spread my message to more people. And I avoided LinkedIn for a while because I find it intimidating, or I found it intimidating because I just felt like it's all these people that, But I just thought, and I was afraid of, can I be myself? Will they judge me? Will all these thoughts, negative thoughts, which I shouldn't have entertained or whatever. But it's important because I know that I have a message to get across. And sometimes a message is not just about property. Sometimes people just seeing my energy is enough for them to say, hold on a minute, this girl, she is unstoppable. Like someone, and I've heard, so sometimes I know that there is something that somebody can get from me in order for them to take that piece or whatever it is they take from me to then build their own life, or to say, you know what, enough is enough. Like I want people to see me and or hear me or whatever and say, you know what, things have got to change. I can't keep living like this. I need people to know there is hope. Like I said, how can you be in the same place? You complain about your 9 to 5. Oh, I'm just bliss. Is that what are you doing? I don't understand. What are you doing? So I need people to be like, and you know me, Mildred, I don't know how to be like, if you don't like it, let's change it. Let's do it. And I feel like, especially LinkedIn, people need that kind of energy. I don't know how to do all this sweet talk and, it's a change it. And I feel like that's why it's important for me to show up in LinkedIn, because they need that. You can, yes, I'm not talking about the people that are happy. I'm talking about the people that have been saying, I need to leave. I don't like this. There's more inside of me. I wanna, I wanna, I wanna. Why are you not? What's stopping you? And I hope and feel like maybe I can start getting that message across sooner or even more so to say, listen, you can do this. So this is why I feel like it's important that I come on LinkedIn to share that. Listen, I've been there, I've done that. This is someone that didn't even know I was going to be in a 9 to 5. I didn't know, I had no aspirations. And then all of a sudden I'm now doing this. Talking to people that dream this thing inside and out. They live this, they write on their vision board from the time 10 years ago. Me, I just woke up one day and said, this is what I want to do. So you guys even have it. And sometimes that's the easy part, when you can visualize it, when you know that this is what you want. It frustrates me. I don't understand why people are sitting on their dreams. I don't get it.
My gosh, my gosh. Listen, you need Grace as your coach. If you're sitting here, if you're watching this and you are sitting on your dreams, as she put it, reach out. Absolutely reach out to her. She can help you wake up, get some energy and passion going, especially in the direction of property. But as you can hear from tonight's conversation, she's about so much more than that. So that is absolutely wonderful. If there's anything at all Grace has said tonight that's resonated with you, any takeaways, drop it in the comment. Let her know how inspiring she is, because she still doesn't believe she's inspiring, and she so is that. And Jennifer said, so inspiring and empowering. Kathy May says, beautiful role modeling, Grace. Thank you. You are right. Life is short. So it has been an absolute pleasure. Grace, thank you so much for sharing so openly, so passionately. How can people get hold of you if they want to know more, if they want to connect with you, if they've got questions about property, if they want to work with you? Where should we send them?
Yeah, please. So you can reach me on LinkedIn, which is Grace Ola. I'm on Instagram as well, which is Giesland_Homes. So Giesland, GISLAND_Homes. I have a email. How do you even say it? But I basically send out email, newsletter, all this stuff. Yes, that I send out every couple of weeks. So you can email me at info@gieslandhomes.com. That's info@gieslandhomes.com, all lowercase, all one word. And just say basically you want to be added. But yeah, send me a message. I do free consultations as well. If you'd like to have a free 30-minute consultation for me to see where you're at, see how I can support you, even if it's just to encourage you, guide you, whatever the case may be, then yep, send me a message on LinkedIn, send me an email, send me an Instagram message, and then we'll send you a link to the consultation. But you can look on my LinkedIn feed as well. There should be links for free consultations that I'm always posting every now and again. So yeah.
Love it, love it. Reach out. Do not be a stranger, and give her a follow. If you don't already follow Grace on LinkedIn, give her a follow and subscribe to her absolutely awesome content that will charge you up for your journey ahead. So Grace, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Mildred. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it, and I'm definitely loving LinkedIn now. Not loving, but I think I'm definitely I'm definitely warming up to it. I feel like I'm finding my feet a bit more with LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm grateful to you, Mildred, because Mildred, you pushed me, you stretched me, you've helped me with my thinking, you've helped me to understand why I'm thinking this way. So I feel like you sort of know my business in and out from doing this. And I would recommend, listen, Mildred is not paying me to say this, but for me, I would recommend Mildred's visibility VIP day, or connect with her. Anything she's doing, it's worthwhile having her in your corner, because she really does root for you. She really does know what she's talking about. And that stretching, I didn't know I needed that stretching, but I got the stretching that I needed. So I'm so grateful to you, Mildred. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you, Grace. And we're going to see you on LinkedIn somewhere at some point, doing more stuff, posting daily. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Right, guys, we've gone over time a little bit, but my gosh, wasn't Grace worth it, And honestly, we could have talked so much more and so many more things and got in so many more questions. But I want to say thank you so much for joining us for tonight's conversation. It just please keep, if you're watching on replay, I forgot to say like and comment and share and all of that kind of stuff, right? But do it anyway, right? Even if you're not on replay, like and react to know so I know that you're watching. And as I said, if you missed that at the beginning, this whole month of June, I am doing a series on how to build a visible and profitable business on LinkedIn. Every Monday, like tonight, I'm going to have a special guest, and I've got another one coming next week as well, who is amazing. You're going to love her just as much as you love Grace as well. And then on Tuesday, so join me tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock BST, that's UK time, lunchtime, where I'm going to do a half an hour solo episode giving you some strategies on how you can build a visible and profitable business for yourself. And of course, if you want to get in touch with me to find out more about whether it's the VIP day that Grace mentioned or anything about working with me in terms of LinkedIn visibility coaching, personal branding coaching, send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. For now, thank you so much for being part of this live audience. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your interactions. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow if you can make it, and definitely next Monday at this time. All right. Take care. Have a great, great, great evening. And I'll see you again soon. So let's head out now. Bye bye.